Why consciousness works by refusing function in our time. Almost everything can be integrated. Mindfulness into corporations. Meditation into productivity systems. Spiritual language into branding strategies. Ethics into marketing campaigns. We live in an age that believes every force can be absorbed, optimized, and made functional. But there is one thing that resists this logic. True spirituality. And not because it is rebellious. Not because it is anti-system. Not because it wants to destroy anything. But because it operates on a fundamentally different level. Spirituality does not function within systems. It transforms the observer who creates and sustains systems. That distinction changes everything. The central illusion of modern spirituality. Modern Western culture has turned spirituality into a usable instrument. It is offered as a tool for resilience, for emotional stability, for leadership development, for innovation, for personal optimization. This appears progressive, open-minded, contemporary. But it contains a subtle misunderstanding. Consciousness is not a functional department. It is not an additional module that can be attached to economic, political, or institutional structures. You cannot implement awakening. You cannot scale insight. You cannot standardize inner transformation. The moment spirituality becomes a function, it loses its disruptive depth. Not because institutions are evil, but because systems are built on predictability, repetition, and control. Consciousness is not. It is singular, unrepeatable, subjective, unprogrammable. And that is precisely why it matters. Why systems try to absorb spirituality. Every stable system seeks continuity. Corporations seek efficiency. Governments seek order. Religions seek structure. Markets seek growth. Spiritual experience, however, introduces unpredictability. It shifts values. It questions identity. It weakens fear-based motivation. It reduces dependency. From a systemic perspective, that is destabilizing. So historically, something predictable happens. A spiritual insight emerges. It liberates individuals. It gains influence. It becomes institutionalized. Its sharpness is softened. Its energy becomes manageable. This is not a conspiracy. It is self-preservation. Institutions cannot survive if their foundational logic is permanently questioned. But spirituality, in its authentic form, does exactly that. Not by attacking structures, but by shifting the internal reference point of the human being operating inside them. System transcending is not system hostile. This is important. True spirituality is not anarchistic. It is not destructive. It does not aim to dismantle society. It simply refuses the wrong assignment. It does not provide political programs. It does not offer economic blueprints. It does not produce social engineering. Instead, it alters perception. And altered perception changes behavior. A person who no longer derives inner security from status becomes less controllable through status. A person who no longer depends on belonging becomes less vulnerable to ideological manipulation. A person who no longer fears exclusion becomes harder to mobilize through fear. Notice, no revolution is declared. No system is attacked. And yet, something fundamental has shifted. The difference between reform and transformation. Political movements aim at reform. They attempt to change rules, laws, structures. Spirituality works differently. It changes the psychological source from which people relate to rules, laws, and structures. That shift cannot be measured in metrics. It cannot be managed in quarterly reports. It does not generate immediate visible change. But it creates something far more consequential: human beings who are less driven by fear, less seduced by power, and less dependent on external validation. Systems built on insecurity lose leverage when individuals are internally grounded. That is why authentic spirituality appears harmless at first. It does not shout. It does not protest. It does not demand. And yet, in the long run, it quietly changes how systems are inhabited. The spiritual marketplace and the loss of depth in the contemporary spiritual marketplace, integration is celebrated. Mindfulness for productivity. Meditation for competitive advantage. Conscious branding. Spiritual leadership. The language sounds elevated. The intention may be sincere. But something subtle happens in this integration. Spirituality becomes instrumental. It is valued for what it produces. Calmer employees. More innovative teams. Higher performance. Better stress management. These are not bad outcomes. But when they become the primary justification for spiritual practice, spirituality is reduced to a service provider for existing systems. It no longer questions the system's logic. It enhances it. This is the crucial difference between depth and decoration. Decoration makes systems more pleasant. Depth makes human beings more autonomous. Autonomy is not easily absorbed. Historical echoes this pattern is not new. Jesus did not propose a political structure. He spoke an inner kingdom. That was not apolitical. It was pre-political. It shifted authority from external hierarchy to internal conscience. Buddha did not design a state model. He offered a path out of suffering rooted in direct insight. That insight could not be delegated. Meister Eckhart did not build institutional reform. He pointed toward immediate awareness beyond conceptual religion. Each of them destabilized existing orders not by overthrowing them, but by relativizing them. Their power lay in refusing to function as system tools. And precisely for that reason, their teachings were eventually institutionalized. Not maliciously, but inevitably. Why this matters now: we live in highly complex, interconnected societies. Political polarization is increasing. Economic pressures are intensifying. Information flows are accelerating. Under such conditions, fear becomes profitable. Identity becomes weaponized. Moral certainty becomes addictive. In this climate, spirituality that merely comforts individuals while leaving systemic fear untouched becomes insufficient. True spirituality does not fight systems directly. But it undermines psychological mechanisms that systems often exploit: fear of exclusion, hunger for status, dependency on collective identity, need for moral superiority. When these mechanisms weaken, manipulation weakens. Not through protest. Through maturation. Consciousness changes use, not structure. Perhaps the most important point is this: spirituality does not directly change systems. It changes how systems are used. The same political structure inhabited by fearful individuals produces rigidity. The same structure inhabited by self-aware individuals produces flexibility. The same economy driven by insecurity produces exploitation. The same economy inhabited by ethically grounded individuals produces restraint. Structures remain, but their psychological charge changes. This is subtle. It does not generate headlines. but it alters trajectories over time. The real power of non-integration: when spirituality refuses to be fully integrated, it retains its potency. It remains a space of reflection that cannot be monetized entirely. It remains an experience that cannot be standardized. It remains a depth that cannot be reduced to performance metrics. That refusal is not rebellion. It is integrity. Because the moment spirituality becomes fully compatible with the logic of efficiency, growth, and optimization, it stops questioning those logics. And when nothing questions the logic of a system, stagnation begins. Consciousness keeps systems permeable. It keeps them human. It prevents total identification. And that is perhaps the most radical contribution spirituality can make in our time. Not overthrowing structures, but preventing human beings from collapsing entirely into them. True spirituality cannot be integrated. And precisely in that refusal lies its transformative force. Not loud. Not revolutionary. Not ideological. But quietly reshaping the inner ground from which societies are continually recreated. True spirituality does not fight systems. It simply refuses to be reduced by them. And perhaps that quiet refusal is where real transformation begins. If this perspective resonates with you, subscribe to Spirit Online. We explore spirituality beyond trends, with depth, clarity, and responsibility. See you in the next reflection.